It's all gone wrong.
Hello, Del Boy.
What's happening? Has he froze or?
No, I think Del's kind of froze. But Del's froze, isn't it?
Oh God.
Yeah.
So all our connections are fine, except for Del. So Del needs to come back into the stream.
Right.
Needs to reboot.
But I can't see you. I can hear Jez, but I can't see him. Can you see him?
No, I can see Kenny,
Yeah.
but I can't see anybody else. So it's obviously all
that's the thing. I can't. That's it. We're all backstage, so we can all see each other now. But we need to get Jez back. Sorry, not Jez. Get Del back in. I think because his connection was. And here he comes.
He knows he's coming. Here he is.
Sorry about that, boys. Do you know what happened to me? Bono stole me fucking internet. That's what it was.
We said it again, right?
Yeah. What's the story, guys? Sorry about that, everyone. Just got the nerves are gone at me here with all these bleeding legends in the house. I'll go first to Kenny. Kenny, how you doing, mate?
I'm all good. You know, it's the first time being a show. Looking forward to it because I do a weekly show with Jez, and also I speak to Warren nearly every day. So it's nice to, you know, do a show with Warren for the first time, do a show with you for the first time, and also do my weekly thing with Jez as well. So it's massive, and the subjects, you know, is very close to quite a lot of our arts, really. You know what I mean? You know, and it's something that, you know, we were all around for. Yeah. We were all there. We witnessed it.
Yeah, all day. Yeah,
this is it. Warren, you're back again. What's the story, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I've been quite a busy day, and I'm raring to go, mate. And like Kenny said, this is a very dear subject to me. I'm looking forward to it. He's gone again.
That's it. And Jez, you're back. You're part of the furniture now, mate.
No, it's great, man. You know, it's always lovely. Always lovely to come on your channel. To be with the encyclopedia of football, Kenny Ken. You know, I will one day in a quiz get past that, man. But it'll probably take me till I'm about 150 years old. It's great to be on with Warren. You know, I mean, I've been watching Warren's streams recently, and they are so entertaining. I have to say. I mean, was it last Saturday? I was watching you, and although the subject didn't interest me, but the fact of what you were saying, it was great. And I really enjoyed it, to be fair. And And being on Del Boy's channel, it's always an honour. And, thanks, mate, once again for inviting me on. But being on here with these two guys, yeah, something else.
That's great. Well, come here. I just think since the week that's in it, and I'm going to go to Kenny first because, since your your debut appearance, I'd love to just sort of start the show with a person who, when I was growing up, was probably one of the main reasons why I supported Arsenal, and it's the legend, the Rocky. For our young viewers, Kenny, can you sort of explain how good he was, and did you think he was underrated at the time?
I think the thing with David Rocastle at the time is when he came into the Arsenal side, Don Howe gave him his debut, I think, against Newcastle. I think there was at the time, we were just coming out of a bit of a transition from the Terry Neal days. And actually, it was like a massive thing for, players from the youth team to actually get their debuts. Because, straight after Dave Rocastle got his debut, like Niall Quinn made his debut against Liverpool and he actually scored in his debut. But in terms of like David Rocastle, I think the reason why I use the word overrated is because at that time, Everton and Liverpool were dominating English football. So we're looking more towards players in that position like Trevor Stephen, players, like Steve McMahon, who went to Steve McMahon. Players like Warren, Ronnie Whelan, all those sort of good players from Everton. Then you had players like Graham Sharp, you had Kevin Sheedy. So all these kind of players that at the time, that's when, Rocastle kind of slipped down the radar. But I think it was the 86, 87 season when George Graham, made him kind of a mainstay of the team is when we finally saw the best of Rocastle, especially going to North Bank during that season. That was when I think Arsenal started acting like a big club because, George Graham said the first thing he wanted to do is reawaken the sleeping giant, which is Arsenal. So for me, my view in David Rocastle was that I just remember a time in that season when we played Nottingham Forest and him and Stuart Pearce went for a tackle. And all you heard was a massive crack. And you thought a bomb went off when it was like their shin pads colliding with each other, not giving any give. And I think that's when you kind of fell in love with Rocky, coming down that right wing, and then you had Martin Hayes cut, on the other side, even though he weren't left-footed. And you kind of fell in love with him because it's a kind of a skills where you used to just get the ball, drag it back, then go past the player and put a cross in or get a shot in. And I think that was his breakthrough season, because everyone's going to talk about, the Spurs game where, obviously he got us through to the final. But it's even before that he was making a massive, massive impact. And he was very, consistent. Consistent. In fact, that season, he didn't really score that many goals. But when he did score goals for us, they were memorable goals.
Yeah. Yeah, it was... I just remember him being, superbly talented, skillful football player, but also he could handle himself in the midfield. If someone wanted to mix it with him, he'd be happy to do it. Do you know what I mean? And some of the things that he used to do was just incredible. I remember being at that game at Anfield in the League Cup when we drew 1-1 and we absolutely battered them. Literally.
Yes.
We should have been it should have been out of sight. It should have been 5. We could have had 5, no question about it. And he was running the show. I think it was him that scored the equaliser because John Barnes.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's right. The sort of arrow shot into the at the Anfield Road end. Arrow shot. Because I remember another standout player during that game was Brian Marwood. When everyone associated us with playing sort of a refined long ball, but with players like Brian Marwood in the team, and we played some really good football, really good attacking football, and we gave Smudger Smith a lot of service. But even before then, I think poor old Niall Quinn, we kind of forget he used to play for Arsenal because I know he benefited a lot from the service that Rocky gave him in the 86, 87 season, where George was trying to get his feet. You know, because remember he promoted Tony Adams into the team. Because remember Tony Adams couldn't get a game under Donnell because it was mainly late Tommy Caton and David Leary were centre halves. And towards the end of the 85-86 season under Steve Burtonshaw, Martin Keogh, was ahead of Tony Adams. So it was one of those things where George recognised that, but given Rocky, his day, a massive thing. In terms of like platform, although you have to say without Donnell, David Rocastle don't get games. Because remember, everyone mistakenly thinks that George Graham discovered David Rocastle. It wasn't. Donnell gave him his debut, and for the second half of the 85-86 season, Rocastle was a kind of a mainstay in that team.
That's right. And I remember as well, like Michael Thomas, when he first came in the team, he was a right back, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
he didn't start off in midfield. He was in right back, and then he got moved into midfield. And I loved him. It's just his engine up, down, all game. It was fantastic. It's this.
Jez, what did you make of Rocky?
Oh, Rocky. Oh, mate. Magician. A magician. I remember being at Old Trafford the day he scored the magical goal. It was majestic. The guy was a magician. And what happened to that fella is absolutely bloody tragic. It really is. But the things he brought to the game, I remember the goal he scored. I think it was Tottenham up the lane. I might be wrong, but I think I'm right in saying it. That it was an absolute poacher's goal, and it was just magical. And the whole of it was. I'm sure I'm right in saying it. That it was at the away end. He scored at the away end, and it was just unreal. Yeah, I mean that guy. I'll tell you what I say about Rocky Rocastle is he reminded me when he first got as Kenny quite right, Don Howe gave him his chance. He reminds me very much of Liam Brady. When Liam Brady came to Arsenal, he was underrated. Nobody really knew him. Didn't really think much, and all of a sudden he lit up the team. Rocky Rocastle, mate, David Rocastle, exactly the same class, absolute class. And it was a sad day when that guy passed away at such a young and tender age. And such a shame.
The saddest thing about Rocky Rocastle is that
such a shame.
You think about it. When he left Arsenal, he went to Leeds, and there was a time when Leeds still had Gordon Strachan as their sort of right winger, kind of midfielder. So even though Rocky, was promised, Al Wilkinson promised to make him a mainstay, because Leeds just won the league championship that season. So Rocky left us to go to the champions. But it was a case of it just never really took off for Rocky, and then it didn't really last there that long. And then there was a time when he went to Man City. You remember that brilliant score against Ipswich where, he did a drag back, and he went to Chelsea. And there were times when he was at Chelsea reserves when he didn't play in the main thing. So he was living in Buckinghamshire, and I remember a little reading the newspaper and about how him and Mark Haley, he was in QPR's reserves. They used to always live next to each other and talk to each other over the garden fence, and that used to really break my heart. That towards the end of his career, he wasn't working for him. Maybe it was the injury to the knee that he just couldn't play a full season. Then he had to go to Singapore, and that's when when he came back, he was diagnosed with the Hodgkin's lymphoma. But the pain towards David Rocastle in terms of his life happened before he died for me. It used to hurt me badly. So one, seeing him leave, but seeing how his career went after he left us.
Absolutely.
And Jez, sorry, I'll go with Warren with this one, actually. Warren, can you think of, let's say, I'm just thinking for younger viewers, okay, the type of player nowadays that you could relate to Rocky? I know I'm not saying you can, but I'm just sort of his style of football, not as a person, but his style of football.
With the way that he played and all that sort of carry on, what he would be similar to. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know really. I mean, it's difficult because I think he would have done well in the modern game. I really do, because for me, he had everything. He had the skill, he had the aggression, and it was just, for me, he was the perfect midfield player because he could do everything. If you had a central midfield player who's like playing a defensive role, who got injured and you had no one else to put there, you can put him there and he'd be able to do it. Do you know what I mean? But if you had in our team we got in the moment, if you try to get Martin Odegaard to do that role, for example, he wouldn't be able to do that because he's not strong enough. Do you know what I mean? I mean that's what I think about. I think it's very difficult. Yep. But he was, like Jez said, he was a magician. And technically excellent, but he was also really, really strong. I mean, like Kenny said, with that tackle with Stuart Pearce, and he wouldn't be scared of getting stuck in. So for me, it's quite difficult because I honestly can't think of anyone who's really that similar to him, in my opinion. I don't know what Kenny and Jez think.
I think you know what's happened. If you look at the way Rocastle is, he's quite he had a skill. He's quite direct as well. You know, I look at there is a kind of a play. He doesn't play for us, but there's times when I look at Sterling in his early years when he's down that right hand side, and down the right hand side, I think, yeah, Rocky used to play a bit like that, a bit quicker, but I think Rocky had a little bit more skill. But I could just imagine, if Rocky played in a Sterling position for England, would he? I think that he'll have a similar career. He might even score a few more goals, and he'd be bigger and stronger as well. Because Sterling's 5'7", Rocky's about 5'9", but his legs were massive. Do you remember them? Like they were so much wide, and you could feel the power out of his legs. But maybe when I look at Sterling, he reminds me a bit like Rocky, although he's not as skillful as Rocky, but he played kind of down that sort of area, down that right-hand side, although Sterling's now been moved to the sort of inverted winger type. But when, I did see a bit of Sterling, when he was a youngster at QPR and the early days of Liverpool, I thought, reminds me a bit of Rocky, does.
I'll tell you who for me, reminds me of Rocky Rocastle is De Bruyne. To be honest.
Yeah.
Strong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
De Bruyne. Yeah. I mean, that guy is a magician himself. Can take apart a defence and is strong in midfield. And, scores the goals, which Rocky did occasionally. And, I'd go with De Bruyne myself. Personally, that's my personal shout. I remember watching David Rocastle on many occasions when he would it was like watching him pick himself through a minefield with that football. It was like it was glued to his foot. And you'd think, how are you doing that? And he'd go around 3 or 4 players, ping a pass in, and a goal would come from it, or maybe nearly a goal would come from it. And he had this sort of attitude where you didn't score that goal. No, okay. Well, I'll do it myself then. And maybe, in the second half, he'd ping one and he'd get the goal. And I just that guy had such an amazing
Do
talent.
you remember his goal against Villa, the lob?
Yes. Like
He could have it as well. We could fight. I tell
Oh.
you, a thing, I remember that time when I remember one time when at an Arsenal Wimbledon game when he had Terry Phelan by the throat because Terry Phelan was the opposing like left back, so he got him round the throat and Terry Phelan didn't try it with him again. And I remember that, how he backed his teammates up. I remember that time when we beat Norwich 4-3, even though they were even though they were 2-0 up. And that was it David O'Leary when he broke the appearance record, Frank McLean's appearance record, where you had when they used to call it a brawl, where players just push each other or break it up, they call it a brawl. Because remember we had one. He was actually involved in the one afterwards at Old Trafford when we got deducted 2 points. That was Rocky as well, wasn't it? Rocky, Mickey Thomas, Paul Davis, and Anders Limpar getting involved with Dennis Irwin and Paul Ince. So Rocky was like Dennis Bergkamp to a certain extent, that they're both like magicians on the football field, but they could have it. Only that Rocky only got sent off once, because remember again at Man United when we lost their unbeaten record when he got a set to Norm Whiteside. Do you remember that one?
But he was also, the thing is, even though he could mix it and whatnot, he was very well respected by opposition fans.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing that summed it up for me was that the game after he passed, he had that minute silence against Spurs, and there wasn't a sound from them Spurs fans. You know what I mean? Which you'd be worried about that, but yeah, there wasn't. And mates of mine who support other clubs always had the utmost respect for him. They thought he was superb, and I remember the one moment of skill that I remember from him was against Plymouth Argyle in the FA Cup when he danced around 3 or 4 of their players and then slapped it in. I think it was in the top corner, but it was just unbelievable. He just summed him up in a nutshell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was. I remember that game as well. Yeah, that was that season, that 86-87 season where you just. I think that's where, when you think about that team, when you think about who are the best teams or the most memorable teams of my Arsenal supporting life, it's always been that 86-87 team, because I think that's when I got the belief that Arsenal could be a big club again and we can actually challenge. Because that season we went about 25 games unbeaten, and we actually were leading the table for quite a lot of that season, until we were going to fall away because we weren't as strong as Liverpool and Everton, and we certainly weren't. So even though Man United were very weak that time, I always thought that we fall away. But I enjoyed it whilst we can. But a lot of Martin Hayes got 19 goals. Martin Hayes, who we're trying to sell to Huddersfield. Perry Groves was bought from Colchester. You had Niall Quinn obviously come through. You had Johnny Lukic in goal. Do you remember the Johnny Lukic's little wiggle in the North Bank? We used to, So that team, I always have an emotional attachment to that team in 86-87, because from then on, when people talk about Arsene Wenger being a pioneer, no, George Graham was the pioneer. He's the one. Without George Graham amassing that team, we would never ever had the continuing success that through Arsene Wenger. Even though because I think, in fact, I think Arsene Wenger wouldn't have come to the club because George Graham was the one who put us on the map, not the other. And Arsene Wenger just further, took us into the, like overseas fans' way. But across Europe, we were a big club because of George Graham and players like Rocky. And I think a lot of our fans, younger fans, need to know that and need to accept that. Yes, by all means, celebrate Arsene Wenger if you want to, or feel like a bit resentful like me still if you want to. But just don't forget, George Graham should get a trophy, get a statue now. It's getting silly now.
Yeah,
Let's
absolutely.
have a bit of justice. Let's have a bit of justice for George Graham, because without George Graham, Arsene Wenger would never have come to this club. He would never be instructed to the Arsenal. But George Graham put Arsenal on the map.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Kenny, you couldn't have put it any better, man. Let's get it right. After Terry Neal, Arsenal was seriously in the doldrums, and we all remember that. And then George came from Millwall and basically put us back on track. And let's get it right. The '91 team. If it hadn't been for that one uneventful game where we had all our defence out against Chelsea, then we would have gone unbeaten, no question. So there's potentially that Arsenal Football Club could have gone for 2 unbeaten seasons. So for all the all the little sexuals out there that weren't even born then, we'd have probably got a gold trophy back in '91, but we didn't. We got a silver one. But there you go.
The thing is, as well, sorry to interrupt you, Jez. I was just going to say, in addition to that people need to remember that during that period as well, English clubs were banned out of Europe for
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if that hadn't have happened, I reckon we would have won the European Cup.
Yeah.
Sure. I really do, because especially that '89 team, the '91 team, we lost to Benfica, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the '89 team, I reckon that he would have ended up winning that European Cup, definitely.
Yeah, but even so, like Warren, if you think about the amount of times you went through to the Champions League, which is the now replaced the name of the European Cup, you would have thought, right? I don't know about you, and this is no disrespect to Arsene Wenger, and it's not a dig to all these like Wengerins, calm yourselves down. Let me explain myself. The way George Graham won that European Cup when it's come in '94, in terms of his catching, the way he outwitted a superior team in Parma. I always used to think if George Graham if we had George Graham as our manager during those times between like 1998 and 2017, when we went into the Champions League regularly, I reckon we'd have won a couple of those tournaments if George Graham was a manager. Because I think in terms of like one-on-one games, it would have been a much more precise tactically than Arsene Wenger in those games. And I think that because you think about the teams we had under Arsene Wenger between 1998 and up until 2004, we should have won that. We did not to get to the final during that period, and probably one of our worst teams got to the final in 2006. If George Graham, we would definitely have won it. Definitely have won it easily.
Yeah,
all right, we would have played the football that Wenger played. Yeah.
We wouldn't have got knocked out by Chelsea in that European Cup final.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have lost the final against Barcelona either.
No, not at all. Even with 10 men, we wouldn't have lost it.
Definitely not. No way.
Guys, I'm gonna throw. What we do is what we said on the tin, I suppose. We'll talk about the 97-98 season, and I'm just going to try and get these slides up here. Just wanted to, first of all, thanks to Warren, because Warren put all this stuff together, So without him, we wouldn't have a good show, hopefully. And don't mind me, I'm moving very slowly, but believe me, I'm like a swan. Did you ever see a swan? They're real calm above the level of water, but underneath the water, their feet is moving really, really fast. So just going to get up this slide here. I hope you guys can see this.
There's some really good memories there.
We have there. Yeah, see, this is what we're doing, Kenny. Last week we were trying to do it, okay, and it was just sort of you're trying to remember stuff and all that, but I just think once you see the results and you see the scores and who scored them and stuff like that, it basically it can refresh the memory, Does I suppose, look, we'll start with the first game, Leeds United. Away, Leeds, 1-1, Ian Wright. Can anyone even, or even the first few games, anything ring a bell there with anyone?
Well, these games kind of ring a bell for me, because if you look at the first
Just
game,
looking
and
there,
obviously
Ian,
if you look at the first game of Leeds, I think it was a 1-1 game. Hasselbank got the first goal. I think Wright equalised. But I think when you look at it right then, at the start of that season, Ian Wright was still our main man at the football club. Obviously, towards the end of that season, with injuries and the team moving away from him, it didn't finish like that. But at the time, you look at it, first few games, Ian Wright, because I think it was a time, Jez, wasn't it, when he was chasing Cliff Bastian's record.
Yeah, it was. So, yeah.
So if you look at that time, if you look at those first early results, we actually started off, because we had a bit of Ian Wright, we had Overmars Petit. We were actually joint favourites initially to actually win the league, because we actually were on top of the table for quite a long while. And then I think the middle part in November, Arsenal always have a horrible November, especially since last Wenger came to the club. That's when it coincided with Man United getting a bit of momentum, because it was a time when Man United lost Eric Cantona. Cantona retired. He was their main man. Andy Cole now becomes a main figure. They buy Terry Sheringham from Tottenham. So, and they get a few results. Beat teams like Sheffield Wednesday 7-1. Beat Barnsley 7-0. Andy Cole's in the goals. So we start off with favourites. Ian Wright's the main figure. There were times when we lost to Liverpool, lost to Blackburn. Tony Adams has that special meeting, isn't it, guys?
I think.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Go for it, Jez. Sorry.
No, I was just going to.
For me,
go on.
Yeah, for me, I remember when Arsene Wenger signed up, in '96, and the sort of when was it? Was it November or something like that when he started with us, and he sort of changed the whole atmosphere of the club with the diet and everything like that, and he brought this sort of European diet and bear camp Overmars, what they sort of ate during games. People asking let's say Paul Merson, come on, we go down to the pub after training, and bear camp is just there. What the fuck are you talking about going to the pub? Are you guys crazy? And that sort of period changed Arsenal. And I was getting very excited coming into the 97 season. And it's because I knew that the players were going to be much fitter under Arsene Wenger. He had the whole sort of from November up until obviously the start of the season in August to get the players right, get them fit in pre-season, get their diet right, get their mentality right. And I knew well that they done okay in the 96. I can't even remember where they came in 96, 97 season.
Came third.
I remember getting excited for this season. Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, came third.
I just just coming into this season, that's what and then when they signed Overmars and stuff like that, I was just buzzing for this season. And I can remember, I think Arsenal were favourites along with obviously United as well, but that's when the rivalry really started, sort of the Wenger era. And what did you sort of feel at the start of the 97-98 season, Warren? What way were you thinking?
Mate, I was so excited because I've been waiting to see Arsenal play this style of football for years, literally years, because I loved the football under George and we were successful in that, but I just didn't. I think we could have achieved more by playing a more, because I wanted to see Arsenal playing like passing and moving more style, and I always thought we not that we were negative, but I just thought that we could have it wasn't aggressive enough for me. Do you know what I mean? And I was like you. When I was seeing the players that were coming into the team, I'd seen Bergkamp and I was excited by him, but he'd come under Bruce Rioch. But then getting over Mars and getting all these other people coming in and seeing them bedding themselves into the team and whatnot. And as the season went on, you could see how the team were going to play and they wanted them to play. And it was just so exciting. Do you know what I mean? Because I could see that we were the way we were going to play. And like I said, I've been wanting to see us play like that for years and years and years. And that fixtures, it brought back the memory of that game up at Leicester when Bergkamp scored that hat trick. And I don't think I've ever seen a better hat trick in my life. It's just unbelievable that one of the goals, they sent this long ball over, he trapped it with one foot and then slapped it with the other one. It was just out of this world. And then if I'd been him and we'd gone in at the end of the game, I'd have been going, what more do you want me to bloody do to win this game for you? Score those incredible goals and still can bloody win.
Yeah. Like, I remember when Vieira signed, and I remember, like, back then in Ireland, like, you know, you were very limited to the games you could see and stuff like that. And I remember I was out, and my auntie had, I think it was Sky Sports at the time. It was like fucking, you'd need a second wage to bleed and have it in the house, you know. But I remember ringing her up because I was running down to her house and I wanted to find out because Vieira's first game, and I rang her before I left the house because he came on as a substitute, and I said to her, what's he like? She's there, he's only on 5 minutes, give the guy a chance, you know. I think it was against Sheffield Wednesday, I think.
Mm.
I don't know. See,
but
before he signed, I didn't even know.
Like, you know, when PT and Vieira. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no one did. But like, look at that midfield there, Petit, Vieira. Like, my God, they were unbelievable. Jez, what do you have to say about that?
Well, as I said earlier, I mean, Patrick Vieira was basically a one-man midfield. You know, you could actually put Petit in the middle there between Wright and Bergkamp. The man was a monster. You know. I mean, that guy he's unreal. He was absolute top world class. You know, we all know, we've all seen the battles, the major battles he had with Keane at Man United. You know, serious, like proper battles. And the guy, in my book, proper legend, along with Bergkamp, you know, world class. The stuff that guy did was like an honour, an absolute honour to be privileged to see at Highbury. You know, I mean, I've seen some great players in my life, and I've been privileged, but to see guys like that, I'll pop there. Overmars, awesome player, and that whole team you've got there, you know, every one of those players is class, and how can you not fail anyone and criticise any one of those players? Because that's when Arsenal had a proper team. If you actually overplace the current Arsenal team in those current positions, well, okay, let's go for it. All right. So we got Vieira. We put over the name there, Xhaka. We go with Petit. We put in there Odegaard. Well, Odegaard, I didn't rate, but he's starting to give me some faith. Right? Yeah. Dixon. Lee Dixon. Ben White. Oh dear. Winterburn. Yeah. Unbelievable footballer in my time. But Kieran Tierney, equally as good in my book. And we can go on. But the fact of the matter is, up front there, you've got Wright and Bergkamp. Ian Wright, awesome player, broke Cliff Baston's record of goals scored for Arsenal. I don't like the guy now. I think he's a fake. He sold himself.
100% agree with
you. When he was an Arsenal player, loved him, brilliant. But I will also concede, and I'm going to say this, that I get things wrong about players. And when I get things wrong about players, I will retract that I've been an idiot. When that guy signed for Arsenal from Palace, my boss at the time was an avid Palace fan. Avid. And he said, "Oh, you signed one of our best players for £1 million." I said, "He won't do nothing at Arsenal. Fucking why the fuck we bought him? Why fuck me? Waste of time." Well, how wrong was I? And I actually went to him a year later, 2 years, maybe whenever. And I said, "Well, shows what I know about football." And, you know, I always say that if I get it wrong about a player, and I said it about Ramsdale, and I shut my mouth, I think he's been brilliant. Odegaard, when we had him on loan, I thought he was pony, but he's proven me wrong. He's done some good stuff. If he keeps it up, I hope so, and he improves and keeps going, fair play. So, you know, I am not an expert at football. I'm not a tactician. I'm not technically great at football. I look at what we've got and I give my belief. And it's quite funny, isn't it, Kenny, that you and I get bullied for our beliefs.
Exactly, yeah.
Because all we do is we give an honest opinion. That's all we do. We're not haters. We don't beat people up. We just say what we think. And we get so much abuse for it. It's unreal, you know, but there you go. But
cancel culture, Des, it's cancel culture. I think in terms of YouTube terms, we've got a cancel culture policy amongst Arsenal fans. But you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? We're the ones who've got the battle scars, and they wish they had the battle scars we had in terms of, you know, following this club, great club.
Yeah, very true. I'll leave it there. But you know, I had this chat with Warren last week. You know, about some of the worst places you had to go and watch a football match, and it was a great discussion. It was a great discussion. You know, but. It is what it is, and we have to live with it, I'm afraid. So there you go.
I just wanted to reiterate here and tell everyone, like, you know, Warren is the person to do all these slides, and he sent them up to me. So there's a lot of people watching now at the minute. So please, you can see Warren's name there, Warren's Team Talks. Go and subscribe to his channels. He does this all the time on his shows. Anything he's streaming about, he does this. He gives the information on screen. I keep telling everyone I'm just a fucking idiot in a bar in Dublin. That's all I am. And I'm just talking about my channel and everything like that and my opinions. I know feck all about football compared to the guys that are underneath me here, but I'm just giving my opinion. So look, please check Warren's channels out and stuff like that. And, like, you know, his link is his YouTube channel is in the description. And if you're here, you might as well throw an L subscription onto my channel and an L like if you want. I'm trying to get to 400. And Static, I was talking to him during the week, and I'm taking his advice. So yeah, try and push that up to 400, please, people. Show the love here. We'll go back anyway. Kenny, what's the story? So this is at the 30th of August, 1997. After what Arsenal had 5 games, we're in 5th. At the time, like Blackburn, Man United.
Of course it does, because I think that was the time when Blackburn had quite a good side. Because they finished quite high up in that table. I think they finished about 5th because they had Croydon Roy was their manager. They got him from Internazionale. And, obviously we're looking at Chelsea as well. Ruud Gullit was still their manager that season. So they had some, players. They had some good players as well. They had, obviously, they had De Hoy in goal. They had players like, Zola, although Vialli couldn't get a game. Mark Hughes and Zola played for Chelsea. So they had good players. They had Frank Leboeuf, he was an excellent defender at that time. And, they had quite a competent team. So they were amongst the favourites. Because they start, for the championship, the league title as well. So they started off really well. So that kind of shouts out to me as well. But Man United obviously were there. It was a sort of the year when after Eric Cantona, so a lot of pressure was on Teddy Sheringham, and it was time for like Andy Cole to step out. So we had quite a few competitors during that time. So even so. We finished 5th. We didn't really take notice of that table by that time because, it's early days. But as the guys are saying, we did begin to see the way Arsenal playing, where they started playing really good football. Even the season before, both Warren and Jebs are talking about the change of atmosphere. The diets, the way the team had a lot more belief, and I think that's when. We saw the first kind of examples of Arsene Wenger dominating the French market, where we were getting these kind of players. Obviously, the season before we had players like Vieira, Remy Gard, and then the season after we had Gil Raimondi. So it was building a kind of a foreign culture because obviously if we went to Portugal, we got Luis Boa-Morte. But when you look at that season, that's when we were starting to see some really, good football, and I didn't see. I still felt that it was probably between us, Man United, and Chelsea. Obviously, I didn't really think Blackburn were going to stay where they were at that time, but I did recognise that they did have good players like Gallagher. Chris Sutton was still, was still doing well for them, and Tim Fowler was still in goal. But the teams that I really feared were Man United and Chelsea under Sir Alex and Ruud Gullit.
Yeah, I remember Ruud Gullit had Chelsea playing well. Did they get to the FA Cup this year? Was it this year or was it the year
the season before they won their first trophy in about 26 years when they beat Middlesbrough. When, Di Matteo and I think it was Eddie Newton got the second goal for them.
See, wasn't that the season?
Right, yeah. Kenny, you're an encyclopedia, mate.
Injury list. They had about 13 first-team players all went out injured, and Blackburn just went nosedive down the table. Or was that?
Well, yeah, that definitely was a season where they kind of fell away, but they still finished in a competent position. And obviously, if you look at that team as well, if you look at Leeds, they're 14th. But that was when I think that was George's first full season at the club, where they were difficult to beat as well, and they went on to have a good season that season as well. So, in terms of the genuine threats, it was kind of one of those things where I must admit it never occurred to me that Arsenal will win the league championship after probably 93, because Man United are really dominant, and even then I thought we had a chance, but I wasn't heartily confident because of the fact that Chelsea were in the mix as well.
I'm just looking there at Jack Ramsey there in the comments. Actually says just what curious. He says Crystal Palace were in 9th at the time, but they ended up getting relegated. They had Lombardo and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, they had Brolin as well coming in late as well. Brolin, and they had Yeah, they had a bit of a clown as their chairman because they tried to bring Terry Venables back, and that ended well.
Yeah. Remember that? Yeah.
They actually got promoted that season, innit? And then they went
just
straight
wanna
back
hit the
down.
next slide here.
Yeah.
So
September.
See these
Gee,
results.
I'll tell you, Wright scored a lot of goals, didn't he?
Well, see, that's what I was trying to say, Del. That beginning of
Wright
that
scored a
season,
lot of
he was
goals.
still our main man. He was still our main man through, first part of that season. When you get it into September, that Ian Wright is very prominent.
Like, look at the Bolton game there. He had 3 goals, hat-trick. West Ham game.
That's
Penno.
Yeah, he broke Cliff's record, didn't he, Jez, in that game, Bolton?
Yeah, he did. That was the one. I was there.
Oh, yeah.
Remember it?
Yeah,
You were
same
there.
here.
You were there, Kenny. You were there.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Do you remember?
Wow,
Do you remember
I remember that, Ori. Was that not the...
Do you remember the interview after the game? It was when he pulled his shirt up, and it was like the amount of goals to beat Cliff.
Oh yeah,
Bassett.
he got it wrong, didn't he? He pulled his shirt up, and he the first time when he pulled his shirt up, he actually equaled it, isn't it?
Yeah. And after the game, it was on Sky Sports, and they interviewed. I always remember this. They interviewed Cliff Baston's wife, who was
That's right, yeah,
in her 90s, bless her, and they said to her, "How do you feel about your husband's goal-scoring record at Arsenal being beaten?" And I remember the words, and she turned around and she said, "I'm very happy for Mr. Wright, but my husband was a true gentleman."
I remember that.
Awkward. That's what she was saying. You know what I mean? No need to say any more. And I stand by that, Mrs. Baston, because that guy is a complete fucking knob.
She was proof right, weren't she?
Yep. Fucking knob.
Yeah. How did she know back in 1997?
I'll tell you what, I met Ian Wright once. Yeah, I met him. I'll tell you what, he's a prick. He's a prick. He's an ignorant fucking He is. He's a rude, arrogant, ignorant prick.
Well, I was at one of them. When I was actually at AFTV's 5th birthday party with quite a few people, with Lee Gunner, Amanda was there, Miss Skeevy, and Lee Judges. Quite a few people were there. And when he came in, Lee Gunner, Afsal just carried on eating our mini hamburgers and just walked as if he didn't exist. But they're all going in. And I thought, this guy is going to do his man of the people act. But if it was like 1-on-1 without the cameras, he'd have been a pork chop.
Yeah. He is. Absolutely waste. He's such a fucking flip-flop. And I'll tell you what, when he as a footballer, I admired him. But now he jumps in and out of each fucking boot. You know, the guy's an absolute knob. And I've got no time for him. All he does is play the game with
100%.
like jumping. Oh, let's wait and see with all the new kits coming out. Yeah,
that's modern. That's modern social media. That's modern social media. As you know, the thing is, Jez, we've got a cancel culture where basically, I was watching it. It's funny you say that, right? You've got a lot of people, right, that it's kind of the Will Smith syndrome, which they're calling it now, where Chris Rock makes a joke about his wife. Will Smith laughs along with it, and he looks at his wife, and he switches. But he initially found it funny. So you've got the whole situation now where people will wait to see what's trending and what's popular, what the majority think, and then they jump on. And Ian Wright's very much like that. He now knows that he's got a lot of young fans who've kind of where he can slip in and out of the mainstream and into the YouTube side. So basically, they're all Arteta in. Ian Wright's Arteta in. If the most people get
up. Thing is, mate, with respect, they've never saw him play.
Oh no, not at all. But YouTubers nowadays, they what's happened, right, is that he's managed to keep himself trendy because, if he's still presenting Match of the Day or he's a contributor with Alan Shearer and he's got a good rapport with Mika Richards and Gary Lineker, he's still relevant now because he's still in that sort of mainstream. And I think that's how, you still become relevant. So I remember when I was a kid, I remembered Bob Wilson from presenting Football Focus until I read up on Arsenal history, saw the videos, and remember he played for us. So for a lot of these youngsters, they're only going to know them for their modern persona. It's like Kevin Campbell now is massive in the social media as well as he's getting TV gigs. But for a lot of young gooners who haven't seen him play, they know him from his persona of what he does with with Lee Judges and Dan, and what he does with Sophie with the Highbury squad, and that's how he's got involved as kind of mainstream. Like younger people will know him from that. But they went, "Oh, did you play for Arsenal, Kevin?" I mean, they've had some people, or people like David Hillier, who did a good turn for us, but they wouldn't know he's played for Arsenal. For younger viewers, it's like every time someone gives me stick on Twitter, I'll say the first thing I say to them is, "Mate, you haven't heard of David Price, so get lost."
Kenny, can I ask you a question, mate? Did you ever rate Kevin Campbell?
Up until I rated him up until, I must admit, I expected a lot from him in the 92-93 season, because I think when he came into the side in 1991, I was pleased, and I think 1991-92 when Alan Smith was injured, him and Ian Wright formed that really, really big partnership. I expected a lot more from Kevin, but I do think that Kevin's development got blunted by Ian Wright, because Kevin was like the forward who was breaking all records in the youth team. Then Ian Wright came and we changed the way we played. We stopped you playing through wingers. It was the first thing we did, get the ball quickly to Wrightley to utilise his pace and his quick feet in the box. So Ian Wright's presence killed Kevin Campbell's career. So Kevin Campbell, for me, became a player that was on the slide when Ian Wright came over. We'll never know how good Kevin Campbell was because George Graham put pay to that. But after we built a side around Ian Wright, Kevin Campbell was not an effective player for us.
Do you know when? Can you remember when he went to? Can you remember when Kevin Campbell went to Everton? And I think Everton were very, very bad this season. And his goal sort of kept him up. Now I think he didn't score that many, and I think he signed in January or something like that. Does that ring a bell with you or anyone?
Yes.
It's sort of like I thought younger I was only young, I'd say, at the time when Ian Wright, I would have been, I was only about 10 or 11 or something like that when the two of them were kicking on. But I used to remember that was my sort of first time sort of starting to really try to understand football. But I always remember Ian Wright and Kevin Campbell. But that's a very good insight of what you're after saying there, And just looking at the going into October, November here, the results and the scores going into the game, and the one that sort of jumps out at me is losing at home to Liverpool, 1-0 there at the very bottom, at home, Highbury. Sort of Liverpool back then weren't that great. How did we sort of lose that game?
Well, Spice Boys, I think that's the sign. The Spice Boys were still a good side. I think Roy Evans was still their manager. I know what Roy Evans did. I think under Graham Souness, I think what he did is that Graham Souness got rid of a lot of experienced players hesitantly, in my opinion, And then he started promoting a lot of these young players like Steve McManaman, Jamie Redknapp, Robbie Fowler got a bit of promotion, Rob Jones as well, all those kind of younger players. And then it was a case of Souness lost his job, and then Roy Evans took over in '94. And then I think for a few seasons, Liverpool always finishing about third or fourth. So they're a very good side. They were like the Spice Boys. Like, we always looked at Liverpool as good enough to win more trophies, but we always felt that they were always out partying, getting off with celebrities or going out with model girlfriends, and too busy concentrating on their social life rather than the football. So they still had really, really top players, but they didn't have a team ethic. But Roy Evans could get a tune out of them, but there was never enough for them to win the league or win many trophies. But they had the talent to do it.
Yeah, and just looking there, another one that October, November, we sort of started it. Just looking at the league position there, we were enforced the Barnsley game 5-0. We drew away at Palace, still enforced. Then went to seconds. Then down to the Liverpool game into fifth. But the one that stands out there, the second game that stands out for me is the Man United 3-2 at home win. And Anelka, I think that would have been his first goal scored. And was that his first goal for Arsenal, I think?
Don't know.
I think it was, I think it was the first goal I remember him scored for Arsenal.
Yeah. Because I remember, like the famous Mika Richards says, he banged on the scene, and I remember when Anelka did bang on the scene, and I was because for me, Arsenal's biggest rival at the time, and I won't even go into the Spurs thing, but Man United for me, because I'm a foreign fan, and I remember just that game, winning that game, and I was fucking delighted because I know a lot of Man United supporters. Were you at the game, Jez, or Warren, or Kenny?
Yes, we were.
What, Man United?
Yeah, I can remember Anelka when he came. We signed him from PSG, and it was a steal, an absolute steal when you look back. And I remember people were analysing him after he'd been in the team for a while, and he was starting to score goals. They were going, "Where the hell's he getting from?" And because he was just unbelievable. He really was. And I just remember people eulogising about him because he was so good. And and he was another one of these ones that Arsene Wenger just pulled out of the bag from nowhere. And back in those days, he would be able to just go and find people that no one had ever heard of, and they'd come in and they'd be absolutely incredible. So yeah, that was my memories of Anelka when he first came to the club. We got him, I believe, from PSG, and it was an absolute snip, and it was just unbelievable, really.
Yeah, and Anelka didn't cost too much either. And we sold him for something like 22-23 million at the time, which was unheard of.
Yeah, I think it cost him. It's about 500,000, something like that. 600,000.
Jesus.
The problem with Anelka, he was a great player, but his agent, wasn't it? It was his brother.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? It was his brother.
Yeah. Well, brothers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And basically, those his brothers, I don't know, fucked him right up because we bought him for no money, and then they wanted to go big, and basically they put all these big things in his head. And he was a great player, Nicolas Anelka, great player. Don't get me wrong, but unfortunately he didn't have a professional setup behind him, and that's what did him the worst in my book. Anyway, to answer your question, Was I at that game? No, I wasn't. And I'll tell you why I wasn't. Because that was the anniversary of my that was wedding anniversary. So there's no chance I could get to that game.
No, you can't. No, you can't. You can't do that.
Can't be doing that.
Looking at those games, look at those games in December and January. I think that's when Ian Wright got injured, and then that's when we were slowly building the side of that Ian Wright. Because you look at obviously the Armageddon situation was Blackburn, where Ian Wright, the fans were really, really angry because I think Gallagher scored a brilliant goal past David Seaman, and Ian Wright. The fans were booing and abusing the players, and Ian Wright, it was very emotional because you remember the players' dressing rooms are outside when you come up the Avenel Road, they're probably up the steps. So Ian Wright's opened the window and he's sworn at some of our fans. I think because of the public order offence, I think the coppers, Holloway police wanted to have a word with him. In fact, because he, and I think that's when I think they had their bit of a meeting, Tony Adams, and I think that's when they were saying that they didn't feel that Petit and Vieira were giving the defence any protection, and that we were more of an attacking team, and they wanted the blend to get right. And I think after that meeting, I think that's when we did kind of at the time the unlikely to win the league, because at that time when we kind of fell away, it was all Rod Hullett, Chelsea, and all Man United with Andy Cole, who was starting to blossom after Cantona left.
See, I remember after that game, I think it was on Match of the Day, and they Arsene Wenger, and he come on and goes, "Yeah, there's a few things that we need to sort out," and then things started to change. You look at the results moving forward from after that Blackburn game, and things started to change round. Because I remember that game.
I've got something controversial to ask all of you guys. You ain't gonna like it though, but I've got to ask it because you guys are the most honest people I know. One of the very few honest people I know. But I've got to ask it. If Ian Wright was in his prime, would we have won the league with Ian Wright?
So that again.
Would Arsenal won the league with Ian Wright in the team?
Would we have won it?
Yes. Playing the way we played under George Graham.
That's all day long.
Because I think one of the questions a lot of us used to question is that we always felt that with him just being the main goal scorer on his own, we worried that we couldn't win a title with Ian Wright in the team because we felt that it was only him scoring the goals. Whilst if we played a different way, played with a more kind of inspirational way like Man United played, where we got wingers in the team, where we played a slower build-up, but we had other goal scorers on the side, that was league championship winning form. Because I look back in the 92-93 season and us being a cup game and Ian Wright scoring all the goals, but we only scored 38 goals that season. One of the lowest goal scorers during that time.
The thing that worried me always about Ian Wright was his lack of discipline. He'd end up getting wound up by opposition players or fans and whatnot, and he'd invariably lash out. And it used to worry me because I used to think, well, he's a great player when he's on the pitch, but if he's spending a large amount of the season in the stand, he's no use to us. And that's what used to worry me about him. So, but I think they would have won the league with him in the team, but it would have just had to have worked out a way to be able to get the wins when he wasn't available. Do you know what I mean? Because of suspensions or whatnot. Because he did. I remember him getting suspended quite a lot. I mean, I don't know if it's played tricks with me or whatever, because I know my memory ain't the best. But that's what I remember about him.
I just remember, him. Season starts. There were two certainties. One, he was going to be our main man, and he was going to go to the World Cup in '98 in France, and and after injury, I felt that team when Ian Wright was out the side, and we started getting goals from other areas of the team. A lot, Burkamp was chipping in with goals. We had Anelka who was getting involved, chipping with goals, and we also had Overmars as well. I thought that we were able to expand and play in a way where we played with more pace in the side, as opposed to where I felt that it was just Operation Ian Wright. Even towards Wenger's 96, 97 team, I could tell that Ian Wright was scoring a lot of goals, and we're moving away from that. But I think we fully moved away and evolved as a team to be feared after he got injured in the 97, 98 team. And that's not nothing to do with him. I just felt that as a team.
Kenny.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great question, because just looking at the scorers there on the screen, as you said, there was Overmars, Parler, Anelka, Bergkamp. There was a lot of players chipping in with goals. And when you look back at it now, we didn't know back then, but Anelka and his pace absolutely destroyed the Premier League. His pace was unbelievable. It sort of, that strike force, so just Anelka, Bergkamp feeding him and stuff like that was just unbelievable. And I would have likened to seeing more of it, and hence Real Madrid went in and bought him for 23 million or something at the time. And back then, that's like 150 million nowadays.
That's right, and because Wenger as well has always said that he wanted to play him and Henry up front together, didn't he?
Oh, that would have been unbelievable. And
the two of them,
even going further, remember? Yeah, even remember the Wenger wanted to play Trezeguet. Remember Trezeguet was at Juventus at the time as well. Trezeguet and Henry, you could never sort of get him.
Oh yeah, because I think
looking at the table there now, United are looking strong. Yeah.
It's kind of what we're
United, Blackburn, Chelsea.
Liverpool's fourth, isn't it? By that time, we only had one game in hand of Man United. One game in hand. Because I think if you look further into that season, there were times when we had quite a few game in hands. And what we had, even though Man United had the points, it was one of those things that were pressure games, but because we were a machine and winning those games, we were able to put Man United under massive, massive pressure. That kind of came after December.
But what, United at that point there, United are 12 points clear of Arsenal, and I know there's a game in hand, so you're talking, let's say, 9 points, but that's still a lot of points. I'm just trying to. I'm sure we'll see now with more slides, but did United capitulate, or what was it like? I'm trying to remember.
It was a case. It was a case of they didn't kind of capitulate. They had. I know. There was an injury. I think there wasn't there. I think they had an injury. That injury at that time to Roy Keane, because Roy Keane got involved in some kerfuffle with Haaland, and then by that time he was playing really good football. Right. He was like their main man. I think he got the captaincy after Cantona retired. So Roy Keane, in terms of that midfield, it was when you had Keane in the midfield, there was a bit of beef there, but Irish beef because he's from Cork, but he gets injured, and then the whole emphasis pressure goes on Nicky Butt. And then you look at Arsenal. We've got Petit and Vieira. Not only are they athletic, but they're powerful as well. I think that's where there were things. I know there might have been Giggs might have had problems with his hamstring as well during that period. But Roy Keane was a massive miss. For that. For large portions of that season. I think maybe Man United fans may say, well, if we had Keane, maybe we would have got a bit close to Arsenal. But yeah, that was massive for Man United. Keane injuring his cruciate ligament against Leeds, at Leeds.
See, as well, in that period, if you look at those fixtures, we didn't concede a single goal in February and March. And
that's
also,
right. Yeah.
at the time, Meninga came into the side and he was absolutely outstanding. I remember at Upton Park when we played West Ham, they absolutely battered us. And he just pulled off worldie after worldie after worldie, I seem to remember. But we just kept pulling out these results. And to answer your question, Del, we had one game in hand on United and we were 12 points behind, right? We obviously won that game in hand and then we went up to United and beat them. So that would have cut the difference, the gap down to 6 points.
I think at that time as well, Warren, we were still in the FA Cup during that period. So there are times when, we weren't playing games. So there were times where we were second, but we always had these kind of games. And do you remember the game against Wimbledon where we played Wimbledon at Selhurst Park and the lights went out?
Yes. Because that boxed me.
So the lights went out. And then we couldn't. Lights went out and we just couldn't play the game. So we had to replay that game 3 months later. So that was another game in AIDS. The Wimbledon game.
Exactly, but when I was doing these bloody slides, I was like looking at it and I couldn't remember that game. And I was thinking, how come we played Wimbledon 3 times? That don't make sense. What the hell's going on? And then I saw it.
And I'm just looking at Finbar Kelly's question there. Do you think Arsenal would have won the league if Keane wasn't injured? Jez, I'll go to you with that. Jez, can you hear me, mate?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Do I think Arsenal would have won the league if Keane?
I'm just saying.
Yes, I do actually, because the fact of the matter is that Keane's only one player, man, and the great player that he was. Let's get it right. He was a great player. Let's be fair. But I think the fact of the matter was that season, a lot of things fell in Arsenal's favour, and it's how can I describe it? We've seen it when you think, oh, well, that's it, season's done. And we're like sitting in the position we're in. But all of a sudden, with the right direction, the right structure from a manager, you can actually suddenly see that you're going to strive forward and do something. And that brings on to another question. But yeah, I honestly will say yes. I do. I honestly believe Arsenal, even if Roy Keane has still been playing, yeah, I think Arsenal would have won the season. I still do believe that. I'm not going to open the debate on the next one because current form, current team, that's probably for another day. But yeah, that's my answer.
The away win, then Overmars scored the goal. I remember that. That was a good goal he actually scored in that game against Man United in Old Trafford. Christian Ray as well. I remember him. I
Yeah,
remember
that's a
I
game.
remember he
That
scored.
was a big
Remember he
game.
scored the only goal we bet. Yeah.
Do you remember that goal against Bolton? That shot like 30 yards, which went like a rocket. I remember that goal as well. See, if you look at April and May now, if you look at that, you see when the games, and you know when we start playing our games now, you see the way we're winning those games. That's when we're able to put pressure on Man United and finally. But yeah, as you say, Del, the catalyst was the win at Old Trafford, where let's face it, we were a better team anyway. We started off better, and midfield were dominating. Overmars was murdering Gary Neville, murdering him.
That's right. Overmars was unplayable at the time. Like, I'll never forget when he signed for Arsenal. As I says, like, you know, it was the old Airtel or I forget what you guys call it in the UK. You know, the teletext, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I remember seeing that on the news, and I just couldn't believe it. What a player! And I seen a question earlier on in the comments there. I forget who put it in, but they were saying Overmars or Perez. Who would you have? Kenny, Overmars, Perez?
Perez, better player. Overmars was, I think, Overmars was very direct, and he had an abundance of skill. But I just felt that Perez, he didn't have Overmars' pace, but he can actually run a game. And I think when you talk about the best players we've ever seen in the Arsenal shirt, obviously you talk about Bergkamp and Henry, and I know a lot of people, you know, say Dennis Bergkamp, but then you think when you mention Robert Perez, you think about that season before he'd done his cruise shirt, the 2001-2002 season. I think it was his performances that propelled us to that double, and I still think the 2002 side's best sides we've ever had, best side we ever had, in my opinion. But what I would say is that, you know, Robert Perez, in terms of like ability, is up there with Brady, Bergkamp and Henry in terms of like genuine ability and the way they can actually win matches for us. Whilst Mark Overmars had a bunch of pace and very more direct.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, Jesus, Perez was some player. John Jensen had 100 shots, none went in.
About right.
I'm just getting the next slide up here. Right, so there we are. We're a point behind United, 2 games in hand. Well, Warren, at this stage, can you remember, were you feeling confident? Because I remember myself, I was feeling very confident. I was just there. We slapped them in Old Trafford. I was just there. We're a better team where, like, you know, we had Vieira, Petit, Anelka. You know, I remember we were flying at the time. This has gone back to actually the games there that we seen. We went on an unbeaten run for a while. But yeah, like, you know, I sort of, just by looking at the league now, I didn't remember that we were this sort of, at a point we were so far behind. But then, like, you know, to catch up, it was good with the 2 games in hand.
I mean, for me, as soon as we beat United at Old Trafford, I thought it was game on. I really felt confident that we would catch them. I really did, and it was just the way they were forming. They weren't conceding goals. They were getting the wins. It was just, and the football was really good as well. And I remember when I was growing up, when I was going back years before this, remember hearing the Liverpool manager at the time saying that if you want to see who's the team that's going to win the league, look at the team that's not conceding goals. And we weren't. So I just thought, right, maybe it's it. We're going to do it. I don't know what Kenny and Jez think, but I did feel confident that, particularly at that point when we were like 2 games in hand and only a point behind, I just thought, I just couldn't see us like messing it up.
No, I totally agree with you, man.
Just looking
the whole the way I saw it was that Arsenal at the time they were going to fight for every single point, and the fact that we did Man U in the way we did up at Old Trafford, and the sad one for me was when I went up to Anfield, we got spanked. But that's the way it goes. I didn't get to the Man U game, but I just felt. How can I describe it? Yeah, you guys, you know the atmosphere. When you're in that atmosphere at the stadium at Highbury at the time, and you're in the close proximity, you get a buzz, you get a feeling, you get an electrification that you feel that it's going to happen, and it goes throughout the whole of the stadium. And I honestly believed, yeah, we're going to do this. We are going to overtake Man U. We've got 2 games in hand, and we're going to do it. I had the belief, and I've had that feeling before at seasons where the classic one, and I'll quote this: the classic one, the '89 one, when we were so far ahead. Liverpool caught us up after their terrible tragedies at Hillsborough, but we still went up to Anfield, and I still felt the buzz. I still felt the electric. Yeah, we're going to do this. We are going to do this. And we hadn't lost there since we hadn't won there since 1974. But the whole of the atmosphere was, we are going to do this. And we did it. And it was the same as that season. I just can't really. I'm not clever enough to describe it the way I feel it. I still feel that electricity sometimes. That you're going to do it.
Because it goes around the whole ground, Jez, doesn't it? I mean, I remember that games, you've been at games, and you have that feeling in the ground that it's going to go well, and then something happens, and one person starts panicking, the next one next to them starts, and it just goes it's like a Mexican wave. It just goes around the whole bloody stadium.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, I remember Henri talking about it, saying after he scored that incredible goal against Liverpool in the Invincible season, and he was saying he felt the stadium breathing again. And I know what he means, because I saw it at Arsenal in a negative way when we drew that game in the 89 season, when we drew at home with Wimbledon, and everyone was thinking, that's it, it's done, we fucked it up, it's not going to happen. And then for some reason, like next few days, like you started talking to people and was going, yeah, come on, let's just fucking give it one last go and get up there and we can do it, and all this carry on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally true.
And yeah, exactly. Yeah, like just having a look here at the team, 18th of April, Arsenal 5, Wimbledon 0. Look at that for a team. Upson starting in Jesus.
Remy God.
Jeez, like, what happened there? Can anyone sort of remember why we have Upson there and Remy Gard?
No, it's just injuries. It was just like slight knocks, isn't it? Really? Yeah, because Matthew Upson, you know, he can't. I think Keown weren't fit, and it was just they were just players who just helped us during that time. Got in squad players, you know, that's what it was. You know, Remy Gard was one of those players that, you know, like I said, could have played it. It's a bit like Jules Grimmondi. He could play that right back, and I'm thinking that wasn't the last time he played at right back. Matthew Upson, he was only about 19 that time. We bought him from Luton Town, so he was always going to be some sort of a squad player.
Yeah, I think Remy Gard didn't get enough respect that he deserved, to be fair. I thought he's actually a decent player, to be fair play. But at the time, we had some proper defence players, and he never really got his chance, to be fair to him. But that setup, let's look at that setup again. You know, Winterburn, Matt Upson, Tony Adams, Remy Gard. You know, that's a pretty solid back four. Yeah? Could we compare our back four to this setup here? Well, maybe. Remy Gard against Ben White? I don't think so. Parlour. Absolute fucking legend in my book. Ray Parlour. Well, we know Vieira. He could have a statue in the middle of the pitch for me. Petit. Quality. World class. Overmars. Elka. Bergkamp. What do you say about that? Nigel Winterburn. Absolute fucking legend in my book. And what can you say? Compare that team to the setup that we've got today. There's some gaps. But
that was season pros as well, wasn't it?
Exactly. World class quality.
See, and that's the thing about it, is that, you know, that people just look at Arsene Wenger, the way we played football. They look at him as this sort of you know, velvet gloved kind of guy. Arsene Wenger, remember, during the first few years under Arsene Wenger, when we had a full nucleus of these players, we had allegedly a very bad disciplinary record. Was it the 70th sending off after Arsene Wenger's reign? Yeah, that everyone used to say that Arsene Wenger was this culture's man, and Arsenal played this culture of football. Yet we had these kind of you know, records for sending off. And the reason was because we were under this team, and, you know, team up to 2004, were a team when we were like, if you want to mix it with us, yeah, let's have it. If you want to play football, yeah, we'll play football with you. You want to sort of put men behind the ball, yeah, we could deal with that. So we were kind of a team of all seasons, and we didn't stand messing. And even Arsene Wenger himself, you know, he didn't take no nonsense as well. He could have it. I mean, we saw more of that after 2004, 2005, but it was a tough man. I mean, let's face it, he picked a fight by Alex Ferguson the year before, where Man United were in the semi-finals of the European Cup when they played Dortmund, and they wanted to have their fixtures kind of like, you know, put back so they can have more time to play for the European Cup. And no one said anything except Arsene Wenger. And Arsene Wenger was thinking, hang on, why should Man United get time? And then he kept on saying, in the end, Sir Alex had enough of it. And then remember that famous interview where he had a go at Arsene Wenger and told him to keep his mouth firmly shut. And then we thought, oh, he'd do for me, Arsene Wenger. And I think that's when the first, you know, battle lines started with Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson. But it was that team, a team of all seasons, hence the fact that we played good football, but we could have it.
I remember seeing him at West Ham, like squaring up to the West Ham manager. Who was it?
Pardew.
Yeah, except he squared up to him, and you didn't see him for about 6 weeks after that. He used to
he
send
refused to interview, didn't he?
No, he didn't do him. He just started to stay away from it because he knew he was going to get questioned about it. But I remember seeing him squaring up to Pardew on the touchline. And then he did it with Mourinho as well, and he did it with Ferguson. And so he weren't
and
shy.
Clive Allen. Remember Clive Allen as well? We refused to shake hands with Clive Allen.
Yeah.
Just going to say,
even looking at lads, looking on the bench there, you had Dixon.
Cool.
Go ahead, Jez. Sorry, mate.
No, I was just going to say, totally off point.
Just Dixon.
Interesting. Stephen Fleetley TV. He had a letter today from. He posted it out there that Arteta wrote him a personal letter. This is no April Fool. It's fact. That about his illness and blah blah blah, and the guy and he had a card signed by Arsenal players. So I'm just going to put this out there. It proves that Arsenal website people, whoever the fuck they are, they do watch these channels. Because how the fuck would they know Stephen Fleetley TV and his issues with his charity work that he does, and big up to Stephen for doing that, and the fact that, no disrespect to Stephen, he's a very relatively small channel, but Arteta has taken the time to send him a personal letter that he put on his Insta site and got a card signed by certain Arsenal players. So I'm just going to put it out there. Arsenal Football Club do watch these channels.
Yeah.
So they're watching you, Del. They're watching Lee. They're watching all these people, because they are looking to see what. They won't comment. They'll never, ever, ever, ever come in the chat and make a comment. But the fact that Stephen suffers with his health issues, they've made a nice gesture. But one thing I will say, Arsenal Football Club, Stephen has raised £2,000 for his charity. Yeah. Very nice of you, Arsenal, to send a letter personally signed by Mr. Arteta and a nice card. Why don't you put a fucking £1,000 into his charity?
Yeah, exactly.
You can fucking way afford that.
Absolutely.
So why don't you actually say? Why don't you actually say? Oh, how much have you raised, Stephen? Oh, I've raised £2,000. Right, we'll match that. We'll give you another £2,000.
Yeah.
£2 fucking grand from Arsenal.
100%.
It's like, fuck all. It's like, they'd make that in 2 minutes.
Especially the money that those players are on as well.
I just don't get it. I don't, very nice. Thank you very much. Very honoured to get a letter and a signed card from however many players signed it. I'd rather they said the letter and the card and said, how much have you raised, Stephen? We'll match it.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think the thing is that if you look at Arsenal Football Club, right, Arsenal Football Club, you should need to do better than that, because we've always credited Arsenal as the first sort of club to have a sort of a link with their local community. And, around sort of 85, we were doing it with the local people from Islington, and we always had these kind of projects. But for something like that, when someone's collecting a charity, the first question you ask is that, look, well done for what you're doing. Do you want us to do any? You want us to publicise what you're doing? Do you want to just make an offer? And then that's probably just as appropriate as was topping up financially. You know what I mean? And I think the club could do better with these sort of things. It's no good coming out with a standard excuse. Oh yeah, but if you do it for one charity, you got to do it for it. You got to do it for them all. You're damn right. You should do it for all. If someone's got a cause, all football clubs should be involved in every cause, not just choosing one cause over the other.
The thing is, Kenny, I respect that, but let's be honest. If Arsenal were to give away £2 million a year to charities, right? Right. I mean, I'm talking small charities, you know, like Stephen Fleetley and all this. It's fuck all, man.
Of course it is. It's nothing.
They make more than that on a fucking match day.
I agree with you.
You know, it's bollocks. And
but
you know,
Jez, even what Kenny said there now, Ian Wright, it has to be fashionable. Like Stephen's charity is not fashionable at the time. You know what I mean? So it's a fucking disgrace. What Stephen is doing is unbelievable. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's unbelievable. But it's not fashionable. You know what I mean?
See, that's the thing. Fashionable is people who've got a lot of views, isn't it? That's the thing. Because, you know, that unfortunately, quantity is, no matter how much you say, you know, quality should always trump quantity, it doesn't. It never does. Quantity always wins because it's a safe position for people to be in. You know, it's a sure thing. You know, a club that's got the biggest stadium, the most capacities, is more likely to get chosen to have England friendlies or chosen for semi-finals.
Let's remember Jermaine Defoe, that lovely little boy who's now dead. When he was at Sunderland, yeah, and Jermaine Defoe befriended him, yeah, and Jermaine Defoe brought him on the pitch with his parents, did all that, and even when Jermaine Defoe left and went back, and this Middlesbrough, I think it was it Sunderland, Middlesbrough? I can't remember. Sunderland. They raised over £2.2 million for that charity. £2.2 million. They didn't, and I don't know exactly, but I do believe that they contributed to that. They raised £2.2 million for that charity. Now that's a football club, right? Why can't fucking Arsenal Football Club do the same?
You see, they should, and they can do the same. Simple as is that. Again, you know, I suppose Sunderland have done it. You like to say that Sunderland have done it for the goodness of their hearts, or we could be cynical and say, well, you know, it came into the Sunderland were able to do it because, you know, there was a lot of traction because of Jermaine Defoe's involvement, and you know it being a match of the day. You know when he's taking when they gave him the goal of the month, and he was when he was having his his little shot at the keeper, and he let it in and everything. And, you know, plus a lot of celebrities, players from other clubs, you know, visiting clubs, took pictures of the guy and gave him shirts and everything. So it's about attraction, really, isn't it? But Arsenal Football Club, if they wanted, could have just given, Mr. Fleetley's charity a massive traction if they wanted to, and they would have got everything.
Yeah, 100%, lads. Like, you know, look, anyone that's even looking here now, and you can donate to Stephen's channel, Fleetley's channel. Sorry, like, you know, just check him on YouTube, and like, you know, it's for an absolute great cause, you know. And, every penny helps, you know, because as it says, we're only small channels and stuff like that, but like, you know, a lot of people try to do good. We just have a look at this. We're 18th of April here, 1998. Arsenal are flying at the minute. Still 2 games in hand over United, and that's what I was saying there earlier on when we were 2 points behind them with 2 games in hand. You can see there now that we're flying. We're a point ahead of them with 2 games in hand. I sort of didn't have any doubt now at this stage, personally. I just sort of remember now, you've only a month left. You know, we had 5 games. They had 3 games left or whatever. We're flying at this stage. Warren, were you out with was the red panties hanging out and the champagne cork popped? Was it at this stage?
No, they weren't. Because I remember I learned a very good lesson. Right, I was at the League Cup semi-final replay at White Hart Lane. Right, we were 1-0 down with about 10 minutes to go to Spurs. Right, their PA announcer come on the bloody PA announcer on the PA system and was saying, "Yeah, this is how the Tottenham fans can get their tickets for Wembley." This was the 1987 League Cup semi-final, and it was a replay because the 2-legged semi-final had ended up being a 2-2 draw. So anyway, this guy comes on, he makes all these announcements about how Spurs can get their tickets for Wembley. They were all celebrating, saying Spurs are on their way to Wembley and all this
That song, yeah.
Yeah. And then the next thing you know, was it Ian Allinson scored
That's
one?
right.
Yeah. And then Rocky broke through. The funnily enough, going back to the start of the show, Rocky dances through the defence and slams it in, and 2-1 up, and that's it. It's game over. And it's a big lesson there for today's fans, and all keep going on about how we've already got 4th and like. Don't count your chickens before they're hatched, because it can change just like that. When it's signed, sealed, and delivered, that's the time you start celebrating. So no, Del Boy, to answer your question, I wasn't, because I've seen it happen to other teams. I didn't want to be doing the same thing and end up with egg on your face and your mates.
Bit like us with top 4, innit, Warren?
Sorry.
Everyone's thinking we've got a top 4 already.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I mean.
Yeah,
you know, it's happened before, and it's all blown up in people's faces. So, especially to that lot down the road. So you just need to be careful.
Well, here I'll tell you, just up on the screen there, I'll tell you, this is when the champagne was out for me and the red panties were showing, as Conor McGregor would say. This is the game. Tony Adams, and I show my 2 little boys. I keep showing them, I'd say, at least once a month. Can you believe it? You know, Tony Adams. Oh, stop. I'll tell you, I remember I was only about 16 at the time, and I was in a pub in Dublin. Now, I wasn't drinking because I was under the age limit. So I was drinking an orange. But I remembered my mate who supported Arsenal with me. The 2 of us are seated into this pub. And when Tony Adams scored that goal, I remember it was like fucking €3 at the time for a pint of orange, which at the time I was only a kid. I wasn't working, and it spilled everywhere all over me. I was just there, fucking, I don't care. Tony Adams has scored, man. We're fucking partying tonight. I didn't party, but like, you know what I mean. Jez, I'll go to you, mate. How was the feeling? How did you feel?
Look at that bench. Wouldn't you like that bench right now?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Bold, Manninger, Grimaldi. You know, I wouldn't mind that bench right now. You know, I mean, look at that. Anelka, Christopher Wright. You know, Overmars, Petit, Vieira, Parla. I mean, it's a different game, man. You know, Winterburn, Keown, Adams, Dixon. Yeah. Fuck me. I mean, how can you compare that bench? And I'm not dissing all the players, because we have got some great players. To be fair, come on, I'll be fair here. But look at that team there: Anelka, Christopher Wright, Overmars, T, Vieira, and Parla. I mean, what kind of midfield is that compared with what we've got today? at
Can
this
you
point.
imagine if you could put both teams on the same pitch? What would happen? What the score would be if they played each other?
Annihilation, mate. We're talking. They'll probably make about 5 substitutes to give this team a chance.
They would get annihilated. And see, this is what worries me about this current team. And if us getting into the Champions League, because we're going to be up against teams like that Arsenal team every week, and we'll get absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
No.
That's why we need to spend them. That's why we need to show some ambition and like cut people loose if they don't share the same ambition to get to those sort of heights where we have teams like that compete in the Champions League. And you know, and that's the thing. The club have to prove that that's what they're going to do. I fear that despite the fact we clear the decks, that we're not going to get the personnel in that we need, because we need about 6 or 7 players, tops, and that's just not an exaggeration. Based on the players they've let go and based on the vacancies we have, you know, and the fact that we are in the Champions League, there's no good utilising this coach if we're going to be trying to get into the top 4 again next season with this team. It's not going to happen.
No.
Exactly. They're not.
Exactly.
It's Craig's is there.
It's
Back then, teams were.
Hey, guys. Sorry to jump in, but you know, I was met this guy from Nigeria. I promised him to go on the show about at 9 o'clock, and we pre-arranged it. But when I heard you guys were on, and they always said you two were on, I couldn't say no. But I think I'm pushing it a bit because I should have been there at 9 o'clock. So I'm gonna have to jump out, guys. I love you loads, but
Kenny,
thank you so much.
Look, mate.
No worries, Kenny.
Yeah, look, Kenny, we do this most Fridays. You're more than welcome, pal.
Okay, definitely. But when I heard that what Warren and Jez was on, I wasn't missing that chance to do a show with these two. It's something I want to do more of.
I'll catch you on the Monday show.
Sunday show, you mean?
Sunday show, mate. Sunday.
Yeah, I'll be at Sellers Park this Monday.
Monday. Yeah, Monday. No,
all right, I'll speak to you guys soon.
All right.
Kenny,
thanks
for coming on. Really
That's
appreciate it.
Problems. That's all right.
Cheers, mate. Great guy, Kenny. Like, the knowledge is just unbelievable. You know, he makes these shows easy. So I'm just gonna click on the next slide there. Like league position throughout the season. Look at this. Jesus, we're rocking and rolling. Warren, you've done a super job, mate. Thanks a million.
Because look at the graph though.
Once we kicked on,
the 20th game of the season, it's just a gradual increase in the league position until they went top on the 33rd of the 33rd game, and then they never lost the lead after that. It's impressive.
Wow, that's serious. Serious going. Like that's what I was saying to you earlier on, Warren. It was like, you know, when we were, I think it was 33 games or something like that. You know, I just knew well we were winning the league. You know, we just had such a good team. You know, if Wright got injured, you had Anelka coming in, and Anelka could just pick up the baton and just keep going. You know, I suppose I can understand where you're coming from, but not for where I was coming from. The League Cup campaign. Heck, I can't even remember the League Cup, being honest with you. Does it ring a bell with you, Jez?
Yeah, I remember it, mate. There's a name there that I'd forgotten about, Boa Morte. God, blimey. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that fella. Yeah, I mean, you know, it was typical Arsenal in the League Cup, really, wasn't it? You know, Third round. I do remember it, but I can't honestly say to you I went to any of the games. Be fair.
Yeah.
Apart from
Like the FA Cup, the FA Cup stands out to. Sorry, mate. Go on.
Yeah, I went to all the FA Cup games, and that was the year we beat Newcastle, wasn't it? Did we beat? Yeah, we did, really. Oh, you got up here. But yeah, that was the year. Was that the year we beat Newcastle? No, wrong. No. We beat Newcastle twice in consecutive years, didn't we? In the FA Cup. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
I don't know, Jez, to be honest.
No, you're right. Overmars scored in the final.
Yeah. I'm pretty. Did I go to all of them? I went. I remember going to the Wolves one, the Villa Park. I remember Wembley, and I remember Palace. Yeah. This is when I'd moved away from North London, so getting to all the games was a bit tricky. So I'll be honest with you, I don't remember all of them. All the games when I lived around North London, Islington, not all, when I lived around Highbury, then yeah, pretty much I went to every game at home. But when I was married with a young family, obviously couldn't get to them because of costs. The wife wouldn't let me, but that's different times. But yeah, I mean, I remember them. I remember that season for sure.
What stood out for me there was the Wolverhampton game. Villa Park. Yeah, I remember that. I remember I think Anelka was injured and Wright was injured or they were suspended or something like that. And I remember we had to start with Chris Ray up front. And I was just there going, he's only scored about 3 or 4 or 5 goals through the season. And I says, we might struggle with this one. And he actually scored. And I remember that. I'll never forget that. I remember he scored. And I remember the goal. We were in our yellow jersey. And he went through on goal and he actually scored. And it was the only goal of the game. And yeah, got us through to the final. And then in the final, I'll never forget Overmars' goal. I can't remember Anelka's goal, but I'll remember Overmars' goal because he sort of cut in and he put it by Shay Given very easy. Overmars scored first, I think. Can anyone sort of recollect that final? I remember Overmars scored the opener, all right. And I was plain sailing from there on. Warren, do you sort of recall that final?
I just remember like it being quite one-sided final. I don't remember us ever having any trouble with them at all. I think I remember Anelka just running past their defence and then just slapping it in fairly easily, if I remember rightly. But the trouble is, it's like, what is it, 98? So it'd be, you're talking nearly 25 years ago, and it's like one season now sort of merges into another, and it's just difficult. My memory's appalling, but I remember the cup game at West Ham, and we really struggled to overcome them, but we did, and we dug in, and we got the win, so it was great. And then, this one, I don't remember that at all. This UEFA Cup stuff.
No, either can I. Either can I. I'm just going to go through the slides here and just hit the next one here. Just read out Darren's comment there. Anelka's goal was classic. Spring the offside, go clear, then tucked it into the ground in the corner, far corner.
Yeah, that's right.
Anelka was brilliant for that. Like, wasn't he? Like, it's a pity we didn't have him for so long. You know, like what was he there? 2 seasons or something, was it?
I think so. Yeah, he wasn't there long. And what Jez said about him and his agent was spot on. Because it was his brother that caused all the trouble.
Yeah.
And then
it was just a shame, really. Like, you know what I mean?
Look at that. I mean, Bergkamp that season, he scored 22 goals.
Wow. You know, it's just, you know, like going back to that team, man, it's just, like, what I remember of the team, and it's sort of that era, the Arsene Wenger, let's say the first half of his era, it was just, you nearly knew Arsenal were going to win most of the games. Now we're looking at the Palace game. I'm thinking there's going to be a draw. You know what I mean? I'm not like, it doesn't matter where we're playing them, home or away. Back then, you just heard Palace will slaughter them. Doesn't matter. You know, this game on Monday night, we're away. It's on Monday night. It's on live television. Paddy Vieira is going to be there. You know, their manager. Something's going to happen. You know.
The thing is, though,
what do you think, Jez?
Sorry?
Go for it, Warren.
No, I was just going to say the culture at the club was different then. You know, you had that back five. You had Seaman, Dixon, Winterburn, Bold, Adams. There's not one of them that would allow the rest of the team to just, and Vieira and Petit, none of them players would allow like substandard performance. I mean, I've heard stories about Lee Dixon when he first come to the club being like strung up and like, held up by the throat in the dressing room and being told that you better play well today, otherwise you're getting it. And I remember as well, Tony Adams, we went to Barcelona in the European Cup and we were 1-0 down at half time, and he's in the dressing room ranting and raving and screaming at the players, "Is this all you effing got? I want more. This ain't good enough. This is Arsenal Football Club. What the hell's going on?" And then they went out and they got a draw. Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry, I just cannot imagine that any of those players in that team doing that in this current team now. I just can't. You know, I can't imagine Granit Xhaka going in there and giving a bloody Chilean speech or bloody shouting and screaming like that. Can you, Jez?
Not a chance, man. Not a chance. And you're quite correct in what you just stated. It's a well-known fact that Tony Adams, it was a North London derby, and he turned round to the whole, he was captain, turned around the whole squad and said, "We do not lose. We do not lose to Spurs, and you will win today." And the team went out, and it was 0-0 at half time. And he got hold of Steve Bold, who's a big fucking bloke, Steve Bold, and said, he put him against the wall and said, "You ain't doing your effing job. Do your job and do it right." Second half started. Arsenal went out 1-0. And that was the philosophy of Arsenal. Now, those players played for the badge. Victoria, Crescent, Concordia. We win in harmony. Now, we don't have that anymore. That's it. It's gone. Forget it. Fuck all that, because it's not even on the badge anymore. Because Arsenal, being the wet wipes that Arsenal are now, want to be politically correct. Because that does not conform with our foreign franchise fans. Well, fuck you lot. Fuck you lot over there. And I don't give a fuck if I upset any of you. This is Arsenal Football Club. And that is on the badge. Yeah? And that's been on the badge since 1886. So fuck all you little foreign cunts who don't like it. Fuck off. I don't give a fuck about any of you. And if you want to give me hate about it, bring it on. I don't give a shit. Because I've been supporting this club a lot fucking longer than any of you little cunts have that want to upset this football club because you don't like it. Yeah? That is the Arsenal badge. Yeah?
100%.
Victoria, Concordia, Crescent. Victory through harmony. And that's what it's about. An Arsenal Football Club, you are a bunch of wankers for changing that badge because you want to go to all these fucking countries around the world and you don't want to upset all the little snowflakes. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Well said, Jez. 100%, mate. No, I completely
100%,
agree.
man.
And
Like fucking.
I want that fucking badge back ASAP.
Look, this is Arsenal Football
Like this
Club.
is it. Like
This is Arsenal Football Club. This is what Arsenal Football Club started as, yeah? Yeah? 1886. Been going a long time. Victoria, Concordia, Crescent, yeah? That's what it's about. And all these little fucking cunts, and sorry for swearing your channel, Del, but all these little cunts
I'll walk away, mate.
around the fucking world and complain about the Latin on the Arsenal badge. And Arsenal Football Club, you absolute arseholes have fallen for it because you want to be a franchise to sell loads of merch and loads of shit to all these little wankers in Arab, Asian, Indian countries, yeah? We know fuck all about Arsenal Football Club. And we see him in the chat talking absolute fucking bollocks. Kenny and I and Lee, who actually know about Arsenal, and Warren and yourself and Del, yeah, who actually know about Arsenal, supported Arsenal, beat Arsenal, yeah. I grew up around fucking Arsenal. I lived 30 fucking yards across the road from fucking Arsenal. And these little fucking wankers want to talk to me about Arsenal and tell me you can't have that badge anymore. Wankers. Fuck off. Piss off, you little fucking Asian, Indian, Arabic, fucking South African, wherever the fuck you come from. Piss off.
Well said, mate.
Yeah.
Well said, 100%.
It's just like, you know, it's just like, you know, the fashionable thing now is like, you know, and I've said it a good few times in my streams, like, you know, I support this club, you know, through thick and thin, let's say, or whatever, like, you know, but just seeing the fucking state of the jerseys that they're after putting out this week, it, to me, like, look, the only one I like is the black one, but that's a fashionable point of view right now. The other, like, what I'm saying is with the black one, I'd wear it as a t-shirt. I personally don't think Arsenal Football Club should run out of a tunnel with the black one. Never mind the other two fucking embarrassment that's there. They're a disgrace, the jersey. The pink one is a fucking disgrace. It's a fucking disgrace. And don't give me all this fucking bullshit. Oh, it's going with times or whatever. It's fuck times. Arsenal Football Club have been I'm getting wound up here now. Like, can you imagine? We'll just say Rocky Rocastle, Tony Adams, Vieira going out in a pink fucking jersey. Honestly, can anyone fucking see that? It's a fucking disgrace to the club.
Yeah, 100%. Del, I honestly think they would refuse to wear it. I reckon there would have been a players' revolt. I don't think George would have stood for it either. I don't believe all this bullshit about the badge. It's because the foreign fans didn't want it. I just don't believe it. I just think it's all bullshit because it's not. I think it's the club were trying to divide the fan base, right? And they're trying to this bloody divide and conquer thing where they can divide the fan base so it's easier for them to get what they want out of us and beat us into submission. I just think it's all bullshit. I just do, because other clubs have got Latin emblems on their badges. I think Everton have got it. They don't seem to have a problem marketing their club overseas. Liverpool, I think, have got it on theirs, haven't they?
Yeah.
So, and Liverpool have got bigger fan base overseas than what we have. Do you know what I mean? So, it's all bullshit. I'm sick and tired of this fucking football club being only about PR and fucking marketing and just selling on a weekly basis a different fucking set of merchandise. It's ridiculous.
Warren, do you know what it's to do with? Do you know what it's to do with? It's to do with the Rwandan fucking support because they're Muslim. On that fucking shirt, yeah, Rwandan, they're Muslim and they don't like fucking Latin. Because Arsenal have got massive finance support from them, that's why they dropped the fucking Latin off the badge. That's why it is.
I think it's disgusting.
It is.
I do.
Fuck them off. Fuck them off.
Yeah.
Fuck them off. At the end of the day, why would you take financial support from a country, visit Rwanda, and then they say, oh, you got to change your badge. We don't like the Latin on it because they're Muslim. Well, fuck off then. Don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. And would you see a big multinational company, say BMW or whatever, they wanted to go and sell a load of cars out in Rwanda or whatever, and they turned around to them and said, oh, we don't like your logo, you need to change it. What do you think BMW would say to them?
Yeah, do one.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking insane. It is. It just smacks to me of fucking bullshit PR and fucking desperation.
Yeah,
because
the
Cronkies,
I take Ravel.
Cronkies see it as money, mate. It's money. Yeah. They've because let's get it right. The Cronkies have no respect for the club. All the club is the Cronkies is a cash cow.
100%.
That's all it is. It's purely a fucking cash cow. So they don't give a shit about the honour of the club. Now, I found out a fact the other day that I actually didn't know. Now, as a kid, as a little kid, when I went to football games, my granddad always used to take me, like when I was old enough to go to away game, he'd say, oh, Arsenal, it's the Arsenal. It's the Arsenal. Did you know, Warren? You may know this. Del Boy, you may know this. At one point in Arsenal's history, I didn't know this, Arsenal were registered as a league team in Division 1 as the Arsenal.
I knew we had the name the, right? I'm not going to tell you why, but I did know. I was reading about it today. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So historically, after the iconic years of the 30s with Herbert Chapman, when Arsenal went to play away, we got the Arsenal. Now, I believe it was from 1904 that Arsenal were registered as, after Woolwich Arsenal, when they moved up to Plumstead, they were registered as the Arsenal. I only found that out recently. Now, I didn't know that. What
was it all about?
It's when they moved from Woolwich. Hang on, I'll tell you. I've got it here. Give me a minute. I'll find it. I'll tell you.
Well, Warren, Jez, while you're looking for that, Warren, what's your take on it?
What, on the business of the being in the name, or about this badge?
Yeah, like, you know, the way you said you were reading about something.
Yeah, okay. It's to do with this quiz. And I was reading about it there, and I was looking at some of the different names that the club had. And there was a spell when it was called the Royal Arsenal, and then the Royal bit got dropped, and then it just became the Arsenal, and then eventually they just dropped the as well. And it was like there was obviously the bit with the Woolwich Arsenal and everything else, but yeah. Hold on, I'm going to plug my laptop in. It's running low on battery.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah, but I mean,
you're okay.
No, yeah. I've got it here. Right. It was 1913-14. Arsenal moved to Highbury, and they changed their name when they moved from the Manor Ground in Plumstead. They when they got relegated in 12-13 season, they moved from the Manor Ground to the currently being built Highbury. They changed the name to the Arsenal. 1913-14 season. Now, this is the controversial season where they got promoted after they ended up bottom in 12-13 season as Woolwich Arsenal. Now, the story goes, that when the tube line was being built up through Islington, the owners of Arsenal paid to have a tube station being built at Arsenal, i.e. in Gillespie Road, right next to where the Arsenal Highbury Stadium was being built. And the whole terrace of houses right next to where Arsenal Tube Station is was built for workers working on the construction of the Arsenal Tube Station. Now, in 1924, my grandfather and his wife at the time, my grandmother, rented one, and he worked on the construction of the Arsenal tube station. Eventually bought it, but years later, whatever. But it was in 1913-14 that Arsenal in Division 2 were called the Arsenal. And controversy then went on. 1914-15, Arsenal were 5th in League Division 2, the Arsenal. And then the World War I broke out, obviously. But that is the history of the Arsenal. Because World War I, 1914-18, and I'll come back to it if you give me a second here. In 1919-20, the name changes to Arsenal. So there you have the story.
That's a good quiz question. What year did the Arsenal? What year did it turn to Arsenal?
1919-20. There you go.
Yeah. And
Arsenal have actually got quite a checkered past in the fact of a little bit of corruption.
there was. And the way they got promoted into the first division at the end of the 1914 season was a little bit shady, to say the least.
Well, that was all to do, wasn't it? That was all to do with old. What's his name? William Norris. Norris, wasn't it? William Norris.
Yeah.
He was the guy. He was the guy that actually paid London Underground to say build a station at it wasn't Arsenal, but he actually persuaded them to build a underground station there, where they were currently building Highbury, right in Gillespie Road, and Arsenal Tube Station there today. It's right opposite the North Bank, well, the old North Bank. My granddad worked on it in the construction of that, and then subsequently, rented a house there. But yeah, William Norris, mate, I think he was a bit of a bad boy in his time.
Because that 1914 season, we finished 5th in the second division, and the Football League decided that when the league restarted in 1919, they decided they were going to expand the first division.
Yeah.
Right? Tottenham finished bottom of the first division. They got relegated. We got promoted, but we somehow managed to jump above 2 other clubs who finished 3rd and 4th. We got promoted and they didn't, and we finished 5th. And apparently there were lots of brown envelopes flying about and all sorts of shenanigans. People got bullied by Mr. Norris, and allegedly, it's all there. It's very, very interesting. Reading it, it'd make an absolutely fantastic film if someone was to turn it into a film, I'm sure, because like the goings on that allegedly happened were absolutely outrageous. But
the thing is, it's all there to find. You haven't got to dig too deep. You can. All of it's on Google. If you want to find it, it's all there. It's and I will say that there's a great book. I'll try and show it on the street. I don't have to show it, but Oh, there we go.
I've got it, Jez. You showing that when you first bought it, you showed it on Lee Gunner's channel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And as a consequence of it, I went out and bought it.
It's a great one. Anything factual you want to know about Arsenal, mate, it's all in there.
Yeah, there it is. Great book. Anyone who wants a good book about Arsenal, I thoroughly recommend it. It's got everything in it. It's got some great stories.
And it's not a lot of money in it. It's about...
Can you show that up there again, Jez?
Huh? Yeah.
Sorry, it's after going after. Just going to put you up onto the big screen, just for, like, you know, let's say younger fans and stuff like that that want to, you know, educate themselves. Check that out.
25 quid.
Yeah, 100%.
It's worth every single penny.
You can get it off Amazon. I'll put I'll put the back up. They'll put the back up.
Oh, sorry, hold on. Yeah, I'll put you back on there. Hold on.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
Honestly, seriously. It's got so much stuff in it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Now look, that's it. Look, lads, I'm gonna thank everyone that has been in the chat. I've really, I don't know about you guys, but I've really enjoyed tonight. With, like, look, Warren, I have to say it again. The slides I thought were absolutely brilliant, because it sort of brings back, like, you know, you forget half the season and you forget what happens and stuff like that. And just by seeing results and stuff like that, I remember that game and this game and he scored and whatever, like, you know. And thanks a million for doing that, like, you know. And I'd like to even go back to the 91 season when we were talking about last week, because I think I have the slides here. You done them, Warren, and I'd like to sort of bring them up and refresh the memory, and even get Kenny Ken on as well, probably next week, and we have a chat about it again, like, you know what I mean? Because we're touching on all sorts of things last week and not really what we should have been touching on. But look, mate, thanks a million again. Do you want to just give a shout out to your channel and stuff like that for people that are in the chat and watching now?
Yeah, it's called Warren's Team Talk. I do a show every Saturday. Jez spoke about it earlier. I'm doing it tomorrow. It's starting at 2:40. I'm covering the 3:00 kickoffs in the Premiership and the Football League. It's usually really good fun. I just like to have a bit of banter and a bit light-hearted chat. Come in and join in. It's really good fun and it's great entertainment. It's good afternoons entertainment. So yeah, and I do lots of other shows as well. So yeah, find me there. You can also find me on Instagram and on Twitter as well. Not that I go on Twitter that much, to be honest, but yeah, that picture sums it all up. For me, it really does. But yeah, thanks very much for inviting me on, Del. I really enjoyed the chat, and it was great talking to you again, Jez. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Look, Warren, it's not even like, it's not, you're just, your knowledge, Jez's knowledge and Kenny Ken's knowledge is just, to me, that's I didn't even have to say much today, to be honest with you. I was just sitting listening to you guys having a conversation about the history of Arsenal. And I'm not talking for everyone in the chat, but for me, it's just everything I love. During the international break, I went to the Ireland matches, the Belgium match. I went to the Lithuanian match and stuff like that, and I was just sort of thinking, like, I'm not getting pissed off with YouTube, but I'm getting bored of it. Being honest with you, but just listening to you guys has given me an extra sort of kick in the arse. And I want to, like, you know, now I'm just going, do you know what? I'm fucking doing this because I love Arsenal, and that's what it all comes down to. Like, you're looking at Twitter all week and there's fucking bullshit about jerseys and fucking shit like that, and I'm looking like, that's not the club that I love. You know, I didn't fall in love with Arsenal because they're wearing a fucking pink jersey and black jersey and a red fucking whatever, you know. So just by talking to you guys, and I know there's loads and thousands more fans exactly like you guys, and you guys are the reason why I'm just going to keep it going, you know what I mean? And especially something on a Friday night, taking people back to memory lane and stuff like that, you know. And Jez, look, I can't thank you enough, mate. Your knowledge is just fucking unbelievable. You may not think so, but to a young fella, let's say, like me, and to everyone else, and I'm just looking at Gracie Mays there, like, you know, big up to great show, and, like, you know, to people like her as well, like, you guys need to keep it going and need to have a voice and need to sort of, you know, educate the people that are out there that are not, let's say, looking at these books and looking at the sort of the YouTube channels, let's say, going back in time, and, you know, keep it going, guys. You know, Jez, what do you have coming up anyway? Sorry, actually, before I go to you, Jez, Warren, do you want to give a shout out? There's something happening on your channel next Thursday, I believe. Do you want to give us an exclusive?
There's a quiz that's going to be on Thursday, and it's going to be between you and Jez, and I'm going to see if I can get Kenny Ken to come on as well.
No, not Kenny.
No, tell him to fuck off.
I wanted to get Old School Gunner on, but he can't do it. So, yeah, I was thinking about asking Kenny Ken to come on as well.
He'll win. Man, Warren, that man's a fucking encyclopedia.
It was impressive, mate. It was. I was sitting here tonight listening to him, and his knowledge is just on a different level, isn't it? It really is.
It is. I'll tell you what. I've got so much admiration for Kenny. You know, the guy's unreal. I love him to death. You know, I love talking with him. When we're on Lee's channel, we've done the quizzes. I mean, the one last week with Gracie did. You know, I mean, that was a brilliant quiz, and I'd have a what do you call it? Tiebreaker. Lee was ahead of us. Fair play to him. Well done. I'd have a tiebreaker with Kenny, and he done me again. That guy does me every bleeding time. You know what I mean? Like, fucking hell, you know. And I just have the utmost respect for Kenny and Lee, because Lee, bloody hell, he did. I didn't expect that one, but the man's a fucking man. Honestly, I said to him, I know what's going on now, mate. When anybody Googles anything about Arsenal, Google, you're sat there, mate, aren't you? You're sat on your computer, you get a question from Google about Arsenal, and you answer it. That's it. That's it.
He is Mr. Google, isn't he?
Yeah. Anybody Google Arsenal, it goes to Kenny. That's it. Simples.
Well, do you know what I must say, right, Warren? If you're getting Kenny on, right, start him like Derby did. You know the way Derby started in the championship, minus 23 points, and then we're coming on, yeah.
And you still lose.
Yeah.
The man's a legend. I'll tell you what. Kenny Ken, you couldn't meet a nicer fella. I'll tell you what, his knowledge of football in general is legendary. Honestly, I know a lot of people I've known for long, long years about football in general, not just Arsenal. I've got friends from Chelsea. I have got friends from Tottenham. Dare I say it? Newcastle, Fulham, all kinds of clubs. That man's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I admire him for it, to be fair.
Jez, it's not just about football though. He's like that with boxing, with cricket, anything, any sport that you care to bring up with him. His knowledge is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. Bit annoying, really, isn't it? It's a bit annoying.
But he's such a lovely fella. That's the thing. You can't
mate,
avoid with him.
That guy, he's a total, absolute, 100% gentleman.
Mm.
You couldn't meet a nicer fella, honestly.
Yeah. Exactly.
And look, guys, Jez, just before you go, what do you have planned?
What, for the weekend?
Yeah.
No, going fishing with the grandson tomorrow. My lovely little 8-year-old grandson. Taking him fishing. So we'll try and catch a few little fishies. And then Sunday, don't know. And of course, Monday, Palace away. Be a good day out. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And then I'll finish it up with this. I'm looking for predictions. Warren, I'm just looking in the chat here. Just before you give your prediction, Darren is saying Palace 1, Arsenal 2. Ryan, the Mr. Arsenal podcast, check him out as well, by the way. It's great content over there. If you haven't already, check him out and subscribe. He is saying, I think we will win 2-1 as well, Darren. Gracie, if you're still there, just throw your prediction in there. But Warren will come to you now. What's your prediction, mate?
1-0. I'm going for a 1-1.
Oh, controversial.
No, I am. I think they're a really good side. I think Patrick Vieira's got them playing really well. They've got a few really good players. I think...
we've got this fucking Ryan Norman here again. This little pervert that's trying to get on Gracie May. Ryan Norman, fuck off. Leave her alone. Yeah, because I'll come for you.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Little fucking knob. I blocked him on Lee's channel. You know, fuck off and leave her alone.
Is he fucking stalking her or what?
Yeah, he is. So, mate, I will come and fucking get you and I'll rip you a fucking...
I just blocked that there.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I just blocked that there. I only seen it there.
You need to be fucking careful because not only will you have Jez after you, you'll have the old Bill on your case as well, and they'll fucking do all sorts with you.
Yeah, he makes out he knew her from school. He makes out he knew her from school. This little fucking wanker, yeah, he's in Lee's chat earlier, and he's like, "Oh, Lee, can you explain me how I can show Gracie my love?" And I said, "Fuck off, mate. You're a stalker. I'm blocking you. Come in here again and I will fucking find you." Because at the end of the day, as I said to Gracie, and I said to her mum, because I do talk to her mum on Insta, you know, we are a family. We're an Arsenal family, yeah? And we look after people. And Gracie is a very nice young lady who is building a great channel, and we do not want little mugs like that coming in here. And if I find you, Ryan, and I do know people that could find you, and you will have a fucking bad time, you little muppet. And I mean that Because I don't like people like you.
Just
right? Simple. I'm talking to you. You are being blocked. But if you listen to me, sunshine, I will fucking find you. Simple. Right?
No, fuck that. You know, I just blocked him there. I wasn't aware of any of that shit. Like, I didn't put his comment up on screen, but I've him blocked from my channel. I mean, I've no interest in that shit. Like, you know, and if he's still looking in or whatever, I'll be at the Emirates for the Brighton game, and you'll see me first before I'll see you, but you'll have a free dig. But yeah, we'll have a chat then after that. You know, don't be fucking pissing around, you little prick. You know what I mean? I'm not fucking into that shit. Yeah, look, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there because I actually have to go on to someone else's stream. I'm running a bit late, but, you know, good things come to those who wait, you know. Warren, as I said again, it was unbelievable with your slides and stuff like that, and thanks a million for doing that. I really do appreciate it. And for the people that are, like, let's say in the stream, whatever, now looking, and if you're looking back at this video, please, I'm telling you now, check this guy out. He is unbelievable. The stuff he does this all the time. And as I said earlier on, I'm only a fucking idiot doing this stuff, and I wouldn't have been able to do it today only for Warren. Please check his channel out and please subscribe to him. Hit a like, share his stuff if you want, like, you know what I mean? It's because of people like Warren, Jez, Kenny, Lee, Gracie, you know, Big Josh, everyone like that, you know. Like, you know, we're only talking about stuff about Arsenal and trying to keep the history going of Arsenal, and obviously talking about up-to-date stuff as well. Thanks a million for everyone that's tuned in. Jez, again, thanks very much. I really appreciate you coming on as well. Really do, like, because I can't do this stuff on a Friday night without you guys, because it'd be only me talking shite for a few minutes and then I'm done. I need to bounce stuff off you guys. Really do appreciate it. And as I said, look, I'm going to do it. Sorry, go ahead.
Say, Warren, nice one, mate. Your content is 100%, son.
Thank you, Jez. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you.
No, mate, honestly.
No, it is like it.
You are a proper fucking real one, honestly. I can't wait. To the next time. We have a one-to-one. We have a one-to-one. Honestly.
Yeah, we've got the thing on Thursday. That's going to be a good laugh. And then we're doing one next Friday as well, Del.
Yeah, 100%. We're doing one next Friday. I might try to get Kenny back in, yourself, Jez, and Warren, and we'll talk about the 91 season, because I have the slides, I have everything up with a few pictures and stuff like that as well. And I might touch one or two people up, like, you know, on Twitter, and we'll have a good old chat. Lads, I'm gonna have to leg it. Thanks a million again, and thanks to everyone in the chat. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and like and all that stuff. Thanks a million. Jez, do you want to say anything before we go about Arteta?
No, honestly, mate, great stream. It's always, I'll tell you what, I love your streams, Del. Honestly, it's always entertaining. You're always great content, man. Being on here with Kenny, Warren, fucking legends, honestly. Simple.
And as Tony has above his hand, and that sums it all up. Cheers, lads. Take care, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jez. Take care, mate. Thanks, Del.
Take care, boys.